you working as a developer right now? Lavin, can you speak, please? I mean, I would like to know about you a little bit so that, I mean, I can cover topics actually. So, Lavin, can you speak once, please? Tanmay?
Yes.
Yeah. So, can you give a little introduction of yours, please?
Yeah, hi, my name is Tanmay More.
Yes.
I did my bachelor's in computer science and my master's in information systems. In between, I worked as an analyst engineer, where my job role was to gather the requirements, come back to the office, discuss it with my manager, create weekly reports, and that was basically it. I mean, I know basic SQL, and as my background is computer science, so yeah, that's it.
Okay, then fine. Yeah. Lavin, can you speak once, please?
Hello.
Hello, Lavin.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So can you introduce? Can you say a little bit about you, please?
Yes, sir. I've done my master's in information systems from New Jersey Institute of Technology. I just graduated in May. After that, I was working with a company named Skyline Solar as a business analyst. There, actually, I was totally into solar roof designing, solar analysis, basically majorly into solar, not exactly data analysis. Then I had done an internship with a company named Sigma Impex as a business analyst while I was doing masters. And prior to that, in India, I have a 2-year work experience into client servicing, business development, market analysis, basically market. And I've done my MBA in marketing as well before that in India.
Yeah. So I mean, both of you seem to be basically analyst programmers. It looks like that. Okay. So you used to use any tools like H model, something like in the business analysis we use a model called H model. Do we? Are you used to use that particular H model? Anything like that?
Not really. I mean, not really that much, but as I told you, while I was working with Skyline Solar, I was using their tools such as Aurora, then, Spruce, basically to design their products. I mean, depending upon the requirement of the residents and based upon the utility bills, we used to design a 20-year analysis program of their utility bills. Based on that, they would decide whether they would purchase the product from us or not. And while I was working with Sigma Impex, I was doing social media analysis for them. Basically, I developed website and I did a lot of sales and maybe reports generation, then performer generation. That's what I did with them. And in India, it was typically a marketing job which I was in.
Fine. Thank you. Hello, Raghavendra. How are you? Raghavendra, can you speak, please? Yes, left. Fine. So this course basically, we are going to cover as per the given syllabus, SQL Server, SQL, then XML, followed by BI, along with little bit SQL Server administration. These will be covered in this course. In this curriculum, we are going to cover these things. So, as you know, SQL Server is a relational database management system using which we actually make data persisting in our disk. Normally, we save data with the help of actually SQL Server, then we can quickly retrieve. You can save data in number of ways. Like a flat file you can save, like XML file you can save. You can save like CSV file, comma separated value. Okay, so SQL Server is actually a DBMS. In fact, it is a RDBMS. Whenever you are saving data, that can be called as database. So a database normally does consist of a storage, then it contains actually an engine powered by some kind of mechanism with which you save data, you retrieve data, you update data, you delete data. All these you do with the help of actually the DBMS, database management system. Suppose you develop your own application, you are not using any database management systems like commercial database management systems you may not be using. So in such cases, you need to have your own mechanism to save data. So in olden days, prior to say this DBase 3 plus, Lotus 123, when they were using mostly the COBOL or they were using something like Fortran, at the time they used to create their own database management system. So mostly to store data, they used to use files, and to retrieve data, they used to develop their own applications. Using actually code itself, they used to retrieve data. So they were the days actually, at the time, these commercial databases, they were not available, and there was not this much demand for actually databases, because at the time mostly they were personal computers. Okay, there was not much network activity in those days, but now we are using a lot actually network based applications. So because of that, demand has grown for the commercial RDBMSs like SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL, Ingress, Informix, and apart from this we have NoSQL DBs like MongoDB, Cassandra, Hypertable. Okay, so like this there are so many tools day by day they are emerging. In fact, initially it was something like DBase 3 plus, Foxbase, Fox Pro people used to use. Then after that these systems emerged actually like Oracle, Vatcom SQL, SQL Server. Okay, so these came into existence. Then after that further actually they got improvised. We have these days object oriented database management systems. It is called as ORDBMS. With the help of actually ORM technology called as object relational mapping, you can be mapping the ORDBMS with the the application programs. Okay, so I mean the SQL Server very first version got introduced somewhere in 1997. Then after that we had many versions of SQL Server like SQL Server 2000, then we had 2005, 2008, 2012, 2014 and 2016. 2016 is the latest version we are going to use. All these RDBMS packages, they use SQL. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. So using Structured Query Language, we interact with the databases. Any database you take, if it is an RDBMS, they have to support SQL. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. So here we use various types of languages like DDL, we call it as data definition language. Similarly, DML, data manipulation language, DCL, data control language, TCL, transaction control language, and one more thing we call it as DQL, data query language. So using these, we actually manipulate the database. Creation of various database objects, similarly updating, modifying them. Sometimes you may be dropping them, and apart from that you need to manipulate data. That means insertion of data, updation of data, deletion of data. So all these you can do with the help of the DML. And apart from that, you need to manage the transactions. So in such cases you use actually transaction control language. It's called a TCL. Then whenever you take any database, there can be number of users concurrently, they work on that. So all the database users may not have same privileges. So depending on the requirement, they may have different types of privileges. So you can control their activities with the help of the data control language. So for performing certain things, we grant them permissions, we revoke them permissions. So like that normally with the help of the DCL we can do. And most of the time you are going to select data with the help of the DQL. So normally you perform all these with the help of the SQL, Structured Query Language. Okay, so when you work at database level, probably you depend on this. But as an end user in the sense, you may not be just seeing a website, you may be developing even a website. When you develop website, at that time also you can be called as end user. Since you are not developing any database related kind of thing, but you are an application developer, through your application you can be getting connected to database, then you may perform various operations. So at that time, straight away you may not use SQL. So in such cases, you may be using some ORM kind of thing, object relational mapping. You may create a class, you may create an object, that object straight away can interact with the database. So this way, you can be using actually database in number of ways. But as a SQL Server developer or SQL developer, definitely you need to know about SQL. Then similarly, you have to know about the architecture of SQL Server as a developer. Then after that, you may become administrator. So in the case of administration, you may be, backing up database, you may be importing database, you may be exporting database. Apart from that, you may have to see from time to time how your SQL queries are running. So you can see how the SQL Server is performing. So is it slow or is it fast? All those things you can do with the help of the profiler. You have a profiler called SQL Server Profiler. With the help of that, you can be analyzing it. And apart from that, you have a term called as execution plans. So with the help of that, how much time your queries are taking, you can find out. But basically, these come under administration. And apart from that, you may be doing certain automated kinds of things. So for that, you are going to use SQL agent. You use actually SQL agent. With the help of that, you are going to do. So we cover all these things related to SQL Server in this training session. And apart from this, we cover actually the BI. So in the case of BI, there are three things. One is actually integration services. The other one is reporting services. One more is actually, say, analysis services. So we cover those three things. The BI, basically the definition of BI is business intelligence. It's a technology-driven process for analyzing data and presenting actionable information. So you have a lot of data that you analyze, and with the help of that analysis, you can actually get some information. So when you present it to corporate executives or business managers or even other users, whoever are interested, so they can be taking better decisions to improve the business. So basically, we use BI for that purpose. Okay, in order to work with these things, you require actually SQL Server database. Okay, apart from that, you require actually the tools with which you can be developing SSIS packages, SSAS packages, as well as SSRS kind of stuff. So for that, you need to have actually SQL Server 2014, some trial version. It is actually full-fledged version. You can download and you can use. Up to 6 months, you can use it free of cost. Okay, up to 6 months you can use it free of cost because you are actually, making a trial of it. It's called as trial version. You can download SQL Server 2014 and you can work with that. You can even download 2016, but for that you require Windows Server operating system. You cannot download on the Windows 7, Windows clients, you cannot use it. Only with the Windows Server versions you can use it. So BI, in the BI we are going to cover, as I told, SSIS, SSAS and SSRS. This will be covered in the BI. So initially we start with SQL Server. So once you get some familiarity with the SQL Server, then we will be moving into business intelligence. So to understand the SQL Server also, you have to be very good with the SQL, and you need to know even XML, because these days XML is also used widely within the relational database management systems. You may take XML data, straight away you can save in the SQL Server table. Similarly, you can retrieve data as XML with the help of the select query, then you can present it. So this way you can be using the, say, SQL as well as XML along with the SQL Server. And in the case of BI, you have to know a little bit about actually some programming language like C# or VB.NET, because sometimes you may have to write scripts in the BI. Then when the tools, they are not actually supporting what you have to perform, in such cases you need to write the script. So script you write with the help of C# or with the help of VB.NET. And BI development environment is something similar to, say, Visual Studio. If you have worked with Visual Studio, you may be familiar with that. It is going to be resembling Visual Studio. So it is an IDE, integrated development environment. With that, you are actually going to develop SSIS applications, SSIS applications, and SSRS applications. See, basically SQL Server is, it is actually, it is not actually, SQL Server is basically meant for actually day-to-day purposes. So whenever you have any data for day-to-day purpose, you are going to use. But in the BI, we talk about actually historical data. So we take historical data, and with the historical data, you are going to work. In the case of business intelligence. So business intelligence is nothing but, as I told you, it's a technology-driven process. With the help of that, you are going to get information from the available data. So that information you are going to present to the concerned people. It may be top-level executives, or it may be middle-level managers. So they can be taking certain decisions based on the information available. With that, they can improve the business. So prerequisites for this is, you need to have SQL Server. Okay, then you need to have the business intelligence platform. With the help of that, you can be developing the required applications. Any questions on this, please?
No.
No.
Yes, please try to discuss freely all these things.
Okay.
You have any familiarity with these things? Shiva,
I mean,
can you
what basically primary key is, I mean, on
that
the
we
view.
discuss.
Yeah.
Yes. No, we are going to discuss them in detail. When we go with the table creation, database design, at that time, definitely we discuss about those things. What is a primary key? What is a foreign key? What is a unique key? What is a check constraint? So, I mean, so definitely we are going to discuss about all those things. Just overview, regarding overview, we are discussing. I want to know how much familiar you are with all these things. So that's why, just try to discuss, please. Are you good with XML? That is nothing but extensible markup language. You have an idea of XML?
I know HTML, but not XML.
See, HTML is basically meant for creating web pages. Okay. So XML is different and HTML is different. HTML is domain specific language. With the help of that, you can be creating only web pages. To render web pages in a browser, you require HTML. It's a markup language. Okay, so with the help of that, whatever information you have, you show in the web browser in a particular way. Basically, to present data, you use HTML. But XML is basically, you can define your own set of data. If you want to define your own set of data, with the help of XML, you can use it. See, SQL Server kind of things are going to be basically meant for persistence. But XML is basically meant for presentation and sharing. Suppose you see an environment, you are working in an organization, the organization has two different departments. So one is using totally Windows technology, other department is using Linux kind of technology. SQL Server is available only within the Windows environment. SQL Server you can't have in the, say, Linux or Unix operating systems. This is one example I am trying to say. So suppose you have a lot of data in the SQL Server. So this information, this data, they want to see, it is required for those people who are working in the Linux environment. Then how can you present this data? See, their network is different, your network is different. In order to share all this data, you need to have an application. With the help of that, probably you can share something like intranet application. With the help of that, you may have to create web interfaces. With the help of that, you can present. But normal cases, what you can do from SQL Server, you can retrieve data like XML. The XML file can be simply shared with them. Since XML is a plain text file, they can see it. So XML is basically meant for presenting data and sharing data, whereas SQL Server is basically meant for persistence. Forever you can save data on the disk. For that purpose, we use SQL Server. Not only SQL Server, you have relational database servers like SQL Server, then you have MySQL, then Oracle. All these are nothing but similar kind of relational databases. Relational database management systems, all of they have the database, and then have actually some programming language they support. With the help of that you interact. As far as SQL Server is concerned, they use a language called as TSQL. It's called as Transact SQL. Okay, so Transact SQL is a programming language. With the help of that you interact with the SQL Server. So how do you interact with SQL Server? You use SQL. SQL is only specification. It is not any tool. Basically, SQL is not any tool. It's only specification. So with the specification, they developed a language called as TSQL. So TSQL is a programming language. It is embedded programming language within the SQL Server environment. TSQL can work only with the SQL Server in the Windows operating system, and when you move into Linux or Unix, it's going to be working with the Sybase. So with Sybase, we use TSQL on Linux and Unix operating systems, and in the case of Windows, it is with the SQL Server. So using SQL Server, using TSQL, you interact with the SQL Server database. As I told you, database is basically what it's a storage. To move data into storage or to retrieve data into that, definitely you require some kind of mechanism. So here TSQL is providing that mechanism to communicate with the database. So here we use TSQL, but somebody has to drive this. So here you have the database management system. With the help of that, what you do, you are sending commands to the SQL Server database, and from there you are going to be retrieving data. Okay, so as far as SQL Server is concerned, it is going to maintain data in the form of 3 different files. It is going to be maintaining data like flat files. Okay, so it is a specialized flat file, I can say. It's going to maintain data in the form of 3 different flat files. The first one is called as .mdf file. The second is called as .ldf file, and third one is called as actually .ndf file. Okay, you have 3 different types of files associated with the SQL Server database. When you create a database in the SQL Server, there are going to be 3 different types of files associated. So here .mdf, .ldf and .ndf are the 3 different types of files associated. So of these 3 different types of files, the 2 are going to be mandatory, .mdf and .ldf. So .ndf is not required always. Okay, so .ndf stands for here master data file, .ldf stands for actually log data file. So .mdf file is going to be containing all your table definitions, associated data in them. So LDF file is going to be log data file. Whatever actions you are performing against database, all of they are going to be recorded in the LDF file. So like this, you have MDF as well as LDF files. Okay, but there is one thing actually, when you have a lot of data, millions of records you have, so if you try to put into one MDF file, so it is going to be really a slow performing operation. Ultimately, you have a slow performing operation. Instead of keeping all the data in one file and making it big, you can be putting into smaller files called as NDF files. They are called as actually secondary files. So in the NDF file, you can put data. You take master data and you take data and you split into number of data files, that is called as NDF file. If data is split into number of files, retrieval can be quite fast. Instead of having one big data file, retrieving data from that is going to be somewhat slow process. So instead of that, if you can divide into number of files, then you can retrieve data very quickly. So that's why we have another type of file called as NDF file. When you take any database, it's going to be one MDF file, but you can have number of NDF files. So number of NDF files can be getting created in the case of SQL Server when you have a lot of data. So the database developers have to take actually, have to devise the database in that manner. So whenever data is exceeding, say for example, certain limit, automatically the data should go into the secondary file. That way, if you design, it's going to be efficient database. So creating database, inserting data is really easy, but retrieval should be very fast. Then only the user will have very good experience. Normally what happens, you will develop database and you keep mechanism. With the help of that, you are going to insert data, you are going to update, you are going to delete. But when you normally do not, you are not going to do that from the SQL Server Management Studio, normally through applications. That may be Windows application, or that may be, say, some web application. Through that, you are going to be performing all these operations. So if the database is not designed properly, then in such cases, retrieval can be slow. So user will have bad experience. So in order to do that, one of the mechanisms is what? Splitting data among number of tables and maintaining proper indexes, writing efficient queries. All these you need to do, then in that case, retrieval can be quite fast. Yeah. Any questions, please?
No.
Yes. So are you following? All of you are following?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. So to interact with the SQL Server, you require a tool called as SSMS. SSMS stands for SQL Server Management Studio. So with the help of this SSMS, it's called a SQL Server Management Studio, you are going to interact with the underlying database. Okay, so now let me launch actually the SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. It is going to look like actually Visual Studio. See, I am using SQL Server 2014, and there is a program called as SQL Server 2014 Management Studio. In short, we say it as SSMS. So just I am demonstrating something to you. Systematically from tomorrow we are going to do it. Just I'm making you getting familiarized with the environment today. So this is going to be SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, so this kind of interface, first of all, you are going to get. To log in into this system, you need to specify, you need to be authenticated. There are two different ways of getting authenticated. One is Windows authentication, the other one is going to be SQL Server authentication. There are going to be two different authentications. See, we use two different authentications. One is Windows authentication, other one is SQL Server authentication. Now, in the same system, I have SQL Server database and I am trying to get connected. That means what? Database as well as SSMS are in the same system. So therefore, I can choose here Windows authentication. With the help of that, I can get connected. Windows authentication means whenever you log in into your Windows operating system, that means when you start your computer, at that time probably you give a user ID and password. With the help of that, you start your computer. So same user ID and password can be straight away used here to log in into Microsoft SQL Server environment. So that is called as here Windows authentication. So when it's Windows authentication, you are going to use the same credentials. So whatever credentials you provided to log in into your, say, Windows account, same you are going to use. That is called as Windows authentication. So here, the database as well as your application in the sense like SSMS here, you have same in the same machine. In such cases, you can use Windows authentication. And this you need to opt whenever you say install SQL Server. When you install SQL Server, at that time you need to have this option. So you need to choose Windows authentication. So now what happens here? Without entering any user ID and password, I can log in into the SQL Server. So because this is Windows authenticated. And other is what exactly? SQL Server authentication. So in the case of SQL Server authentication, you need to have a user ID and password. With that you can log in. But for getting authenticated with SQL Server, normally the database is in a remote machine and SSMS is in your local computer. So database is in a remote computer. Probably it may be in a LAN or it may be somewhere in WAN. In a different country, in a different department, you may have database. So from your computer, you are going to be getting connected with the help of SQL Server authentication. So here database and application, they are not in the same computer. In such cases, you are going to depend on the SQL Server authentication. So if it is Windows authentication, what happens is you have the database. as well as application, they reside in the same machine. So in such cases, you can choose Windows authentication. Since I installed this with Windows authentication, without supplying the username and password, I am trying to log in here. And one more thing, you have SQL Server as a Windows service, and this SSMS is a user interface. SSMS is going to be here a user interface. Since service is not started, what is happening? I am unable to log in into the Microsoft SQL Server 2014 here. So for that, I need to be turning on Windows service. So let me turn on Windows service. So what I do, I go to control panel. In the control panel, I have actually the services. So here system and security, then here, okay, so I go with the system, not this one, okay, let me go to, so this configuration tools, first of all I take this, I go with the configuration manager. As an administrator, I am running it. Okay, so whenever you look at this, here SQL Server network configuration, this is going to be important. When you look at this, the shared memory, named pipes and TCP/IP, these are the protocols it's going to use. Shared memory meaning is you have SSMS as an application and the SQL Server as a Windows service. It is nothing but a Windows service. See here, like a Windows service it is. Now I need to launch this service. I have to start this service. I click on the start. Now this is going to be getting started here. This has started now. SQL Server Express is started. And when you look at this here, you have a protocol. When you click on this, client protocols you have. So all the protocols are enabled here now. Shared memory, TCP/IP, named pipes. Protocol meaning is to get connected to a server or to get connected to some application, you need to have some kind of message passing mechanism. So that we call as here protocol. Shared memory we use whenever you are running the SQL Server and SSMS in the same computer. So it is called as a shared memory. See, whenever you study the OS, at the time probably you came across a word called as shared memory, or it is inter-process communication. We call it as actually inter-process communication. IPC it's called as. In the inter-process communication, what happens is two applications they are going to be sharing common memory. Normally, if you have two applications running, the application, the data of one application cannot be seen by the other application. So here, what happens with the help of shared memory enabling? Here, the SSMS as well as SQL Server, they are going to be sharing common memory. TCP/IP is required in the case of actually WAN. In a remote computer, when you have SQL Server running, and from SSMS when you are accessing it, at that time TCP/IP must be enabled. TCP/IP stands for Transmission Control Protocol / Internet Protocol. So with the help of that, you can be getting connected. So if it's enabled, then only you can do. This you need to enable with the server, not with the client. So wherever your SQL Server is installed, there you need to enable. And one more thing, named pipes. Named pipes we use whenever we work in a LAN environment, local area network. So in such cases, you need to use the named pipes concept. So these are basically meant for inter-process communication, because SQL Server is a service which is running in the background. SSMS is a program. With the help of that, you are going to be getting connected to the Windows service. So in this process, there should be some kind of protocol. With the help of that, you are going to exchange information. So then only you have the handshake. So for that purpose, you need to enable, when it is in the local system, shared memory. Whenever you are working from a remote computer, so TCP/IP is required. And when you are working in a LAN, at that time you need to enable named pipes. So these are the protocols we are going to use. And SQL Server is running as a service. Now I enable service. If I try to get connected to SQL Server without any problem, I can be getting connected. Now you see it got connected here. It got connected and it's showing you the Object Explorer. You can find here the different databases. See, whenever you look at actually SQL Server, it has predefined databases. They are called as system databases. A master database, a model database, an MSDB, and TempDB. And these are going to be the user-defined databases. These can be called as here user-defined databases. I have defined one database called as TDI Claims DB. Okay, so associated to this, you have actually the data files. Physically, you are going to have the data files for it. So where those files, let us see. Now if you come to the C drive, and here in the program files, you can find Microsoft SQL Server, and here it is Microsoft SQL Server SQL Express. So if you open this, not here, so if you open here, you can find the associated data files. Continue. So when you open here, you can find the files. You can see here TDI claims and TDI claims DB underscore log file. So this is the data file and this is going to be here a log file. So they are getting actually saved within the data folder. Even if you look at here, this is nothing but TDI claims DB. You can find the database now in this particular folder. So this is called as a MDF file, and this is going to be here a LDF file, which is called as a log file. And here this we call this as actually SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. So with the help of that, you are going to be, creating database, or you may be you may be altering it, you may be dropping. This is basically an environment. With the help of that, you are going to be manipulating the database. End user never uses this. As a developer, you can use SSMS for developing SQL Server based things. You may develop database, you may write stored procedures, you may be writing functions, you may be writing triggers. So you may be analyzing actually the database. It's called as profiling. You may be profiling database, or sometimes you may be performing certain automation with the help of the agent. You have SQL Server agent. With the help of that, automatically you may be executing certain tasks based on the time. So all these you are going to do with the help of actually the SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. With this you can do, and sometimes you can do that with the help of the SSIS also. SQL Server Integration Services. It is going to be working as a admin tool. So an administrator can be using it to do the administration work, or you can do it for the ETL operations, extraction, transformation and loading. Even for those things also you can use SSIS. So this is what exactly SSMS. SSMS is called as SQL Server Management Studio. With the help of that database we can design. Any questions, please?
No.
Please try to interact liberally. Try to interact as much as possible, please, so I can understand whether you are following it or not.
Okay.
Please ask questions.
I've got a small question. It's not related to SQL Server Management Studio, but what is the difference? What is the difference between PostgreSQL SQL and Microsoft SQL Server Studio?
Yes. See, these two are different commercial tools.
Okay.
Okay. For example, you take Java language, you take C#. What is the difference between them? They are going to be two different tools. So one is from Sun Microsystems, other one is from actually Microsoft. In the same manner, PostgreSQL is a database management system. SQL Server is also a database management system. PostgreSQL is actually an open source kind of thing. Anyone can use free of cost, but Microsoft SQL Server is proprietary. You need to pay for using it. This is the only difference. And
otherwise,
actually SQL.
Otherwise, all the commands and the queries which we write, it's basically the
But
same,
all
right?
this may not be. For example, you interact with SQL Server, you are going to use their TSQL. Same
Okay.
TSQL syntax may not be working with the PostgreSQL. Of course, they support SQL. Apart from SQL, if you look at the PostgreSQL, you can write your own C functions. C language program you can write with the help of that also. You can interact with the PostgreSQL.
Okay.
So with C language also, even if you take Oracle, so in the case of Oracle also you can write C program with the help of that you can interact. But there is
Okay.
no such provision as far as SQL Server is concerned.
Okay.
You need to
That
use
means
TSQL with the help of that you can interact.
okay. That means if I'm practicing on SQL Server Management Studio, I can also work on PostgreSQL SQL because that's going to be almost the same, not exactly the
Yes.
same, but it's going to help me out there.
Yes, definitely. I mean, whatever you learn here, database concepts, they are going to be used in number of areas. With MySQL, with Oracle, with PostgreSQL, there can be numerous databases. You can work with all those things.
Okay.
It depends on you, but there are going to be few differences. You need to understand those differences. According to that environment, you need to work.
Okay.
Definitely, there are going to be environmental changes. Okay, so in their own way they implement Microsoft. They have their own way of doing things. So with that you have to do, but conceptually they are going to be same.
Okay. Got it.
Any other questions, please?
No, that's it for me.
Others, please. So I'm not seeing actually who is asking. It's not shown for me actually here.
This is
In
Lavin.
the audience view, I'm not seeing who is actually interacting with me. Who is it, please?
Lavin, sir.
Okay. Okay. So you need to install SQL Server along with the SSDT-BI. Have you installed this SQL Server?
I have PostgreSQL. That's I was practicing on.
No, but to work with the SQL Server, you need to install SQL Server as well as SSDT-BI for business intelligence.
Okay.
I have SQL Server Management Studio.
Okay. I mean, which version it is?
It's 2000. Give me a second.
Yes.
It's 12.
When you click on the help, and here you can find actually, it gives on the top Microsoft SQL Server 2014 showing here. You can click on help, you can go with the about.
Sorry, give me a second. I mean, the version matters.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes. So my request is you download, here I am typing SQL Server 2014 trial version.
Okay.
You need to download full version. Up to 6 months you can use it without paying a single pie to Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
So trial version, full version you need to download.
Okay.
So along with this you need to download SSDT BI. So this is 2013. You need to download even this. So this has the BI tools. It has got BI tools in that. Business intelligence tools. The SSIS, SSAS and SSRS. These three you find with the BI tools. So you have user interface. With the help of that you can develop applications. Something like Visual Studio, which is going to be looking. This is called as Visual Studio Shell. We call this as basically Visual Studio Shell integrated. Okay, so SSDT BI 2013 you need to download. This is called as Visual Studio Shell integrated. So tomorrow I show you how to install SQL Server. On my system I install, or on your systems we can install it. So some of you if you share your screen, I can tell you how to install SQL Server. Similarly, how to install SSDT BI, I can show you.
One small question.
Yes.
I have 2012 version, so you want me to uninstall and install the 2014 one?
No, you can keep parallelly two things. SQL Server 2012 you can keep, at the same time you can install 2014 also. There is no problem with that.
Okay.
And one more thing, the SQL Server, you can have up to 100 different instances. The instance is nothing but copy of SQL Server. Okay. And whenever you have instances and whenever you work with actually BI tools, certain tools are actually, they are unaware of instance, and certain tools are actually aware of instance. For example, you take SSIS. SSIS can work with any instance. Okay. But if you look at the AS and SSRS, they can work with a particular instance only. So certain tools are instance aware and certain tools are instance unaware. Like this you have. Getting my point? So you can go with actually number of instances. They can be of same version or they can be of different version. You take SQL Server 2014. The same 2014 you can have 3 or 4 instances. 3 or 4 instances. An instance is nothing but copy of SQL Server. Okay, it's nothing but copy of SQL Server. You can have actually different instances in the same machine. It is possible you can have different instances in the same machine of same version. So you can have 2008, 2012, 2014, 2016. For 2016 you require Windows Server version. They can't work with the Windows clients. Windows client is nothing but Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10 or Windows XP. So these are called as Windows clients. Whereas Windows Server 2003 or 2008, 2012, they are called as server versions. Okay, so in the server version only, SQL Server 2016 is supported, but it is actually a very good database management system. It has an inbuilt support for the R language. It even supports the Hadoop. Hadoop is actually for big data, we use Hadoop. It supports actually the Hadoop also. That provision you have with the SQL Server 2016. But we are going to work with the SQL Server 2014. These two tools you need to install. You can download these from the Microsoft site. Okay, don't install online, try to install offline. For that you need to download first of all ISO version. You need to download ISO. So once you download ISO, with the help of 7-zip, you can be converting ISO into normal setup file with the help of 7-zip. There is a tool called as 7-zip. With the help of that you can do it. You have a tool called as 7-zip. With the help of that you can do it. You might be knowing about 7-zip, I think. So I don't have in this, but with the help of 7-zip you can be converting the ISO file into normal file. Okay, you need to download the ISO for both the things. One is SQL Server 2014, other one is for SSDT BI. For both of them you need to install actually this particular ISO. Then to convert ISO into normal files you need to have some kind of ISO tools. 7-zip is one better tool, actually lightweight. With the help of that you can convert ISO into normal files. Once you get normal files you can install them. Okay, so you need to download these two things. See, SQL Server 2014 is about 2.6 GB, whereas SSDT BI 2013 is about 1 GB. So one is actually about 2.6 GB, first one. The second one is going to be about, it's going to be actually about 1 GB. You need to download both of these. I can show you, so the file sizes for them. On my screen, I kept them actually. On the desktop itself, I have those. 1 minute. Okay, so when I minimize, you can see this is SQL Server. So this is the size. You need to have this particular file properties. This is about actually 2.68 GB this is. And this is called as SSDT BI X86. Its size is about 1 GB. So 1.49 GB we have actually. So when you download these, you can be installing them. So once you install, what happens is you can start working with the SQL Server. If you download on some of your systems, we can install and I can show you how to work with them. Will it be okay? Even you need to know how to install it. Even installation is also part of the course. How to install it, how to enable various protocols. I'm going to show you.
Okay.
Anyone has any questions, please?
No.
Okay, so tomorrow, yes,
Hello.
please. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I have one question. I
Yes.
have SSMS 2016. Is there any much difference between 14 and 16?
SSMS, you may not have difference, but server is going to be mattering a lot. SSMS is what? It's a client tool. To get connected to the SQL Server instance, we use it. For example, you have a website and a web browser. What exactly a web browser does? To get connected to website we use, correct?
Mm-hmm.
In the same manner, SSMS is a only client tool. With the help of that client tool, you get connected to different databases. Database actually is going to run in the background always. It runs always in the background. Database runs always in the background. Remember this point. So, with the help of this SSMS, what you do, you get connected to database. From there, you are going to pull data, whatever information you require, you are going to pull with the help of the SSMS. SSMS is only mere client tool. With the help of that tool, you get connected to database. Database runs as a service in the background. Okay, so it's going to accept concurrent connections, not just one connection. Multiple connections can be open at a time. So it is multi-user based. Multiple users can be accessing the database concurrently. So SSMS is only just client tool. So using SSMS 2016, you can get connected to SQL Server 2012, 2014, 2016, 2008, even 2005. To that also you can get connected.
Okay.
Getting my point?
Yeah.
So SSMS is only client tool. It's not actually SQL Server database. It's only mere tool. With the help of that you can get connected. So similar to SSMS, you have even other tools also. With the help of that you can access the database. There is one tool called as TOAD we say. TOAD. So with the help of the TOAD, you can be modeling the databases. You can model databases. It's a modeling tool. TOAD is a modeling tool. With the help of that, you can be modeling the databases. Modeling meaning is what? So it is basically, modeling meaning is, before you physically make anything, you go for modeling things. For example, you have to construct a house, or you want to go for a construction. So in such cases, first of all, you make a model of it, you put on the paper. So after putting it on the paper, when everything is looking fine, you go for making it physically. Even if you go to real estate people, when you visit their offices, you have small building blocks, plastic building blocks you can see on their table. When somebody is coming for buying houses, they show those plastic models. So whenever they finally make it, it's going to be the real building. In the same way, with the help of TOAD, you can be modeling the database. That means what? Logically, whatever you have in your mind, you are going to give some kind of shape. So when you give shape, what happens? People can see, people can realize how physically it's going to be looking. So that way you make actually model. Then that model you convert into real application. So in the same way, with the help of TOAD, you are going to do it. So in the case of normal application development, we call it as UML, Unified Modeling Language. So with the help of that, you are going to be modeling it. Similarly, here with the help of TOAD, you are going to be making the databases. And databases can be logical, conceptual, as well as physical. It can be in three different things. You have conceptual model, you have logical model, and you are going to be having actually physical model. So whenever it's conceptual or logical, you think about that. For example, you want to make some table called student. So student is something like entity, you perceive it. In the entity, you need to have student ID, then password, then similarly name, first name, last name, something like that you think. That is going to be just logical. But whenever you convert that into physical, it is going to be having a physical name for that, then certain type of data you associate with the given field. So that becomes actually physical. So when you make something physically, it's going to be getting saved somewhere on the secondary storage device. On the disk somewhere, it's going to be getting saved. So this way, there are going to be differences. So modeling is always going to be logical representation, but when you convert the logical model into reality, that is called as physical. So you are going to use different types of tools also in modeling databases. Getting my point what I said? Hello?
Yes.
Any further questions, please?
No, sir, that's it.
So today wind up our session. I mean, if you have any questions, please ask me. If you are getting confused anywhere, or if I am not clear, please ask me. I try to clarify that.
One question.
Yes.
Like once the training is over and we are placed, so you would be
Yes.
providing a support, or if we have any problem, we can contact you.
But see, as a trainer, see, I am basically an architect, solution architect.
Okay.
Not only trainer, basically, I'm a hardcore developer, I'm an architect, I develop applications, and my passion with that actually I'm teaching here. That is fine. As a developer, I tend to say yes, but there can be certain limitations because I came to know you through somebody, so they should give us permission in that case, probably, that way I can support you. Getting my point, what I'm saying?
I got it.
So that is actually limitation we have. So otherwise, as a developer, definitely if somebody is asking, I tend to support. Okay. So one more thing, I am really a hardcore developer. I have vast experience in developing applications, databases, different applications. So whatever knowledge I have, I try to actually share with you. So if you try to understand me what I say, then you may be benefited. There is no guarantee on that, but you may be benefited if we cooperate with each other. Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So that's what my request is also, that if you have any doubts when I say something, instead of saying to me, if you say to somebody that may not be that may not be correct actually. So just try to say me if you don't understand something, if you don't follow, repeatedly you can ask, as long as it's not solved. As long as you don't understand, repeatedly you can ask me that on that, please.
Okay.
It's my request. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So any other questions, please? The session is going to be about 1.5 hours every day. Okay. So you need to we start by 8:30 EST, Eastern Standard Time, every day. Then it's going to be lasting for about 1.5 hours.
Okay.
And
And
how
what
long
will be the duration of the course?
Yes, it may continue up to some 35 to 40 days, depending on your response, and you need to do many assignments. Are you ready for those?
Yes.
If you do, it is going to be really, it may help you in real-time environment.
Okay.
Okay.
I try to give as much as real-time kind of things. So that way, if you grasp properly, then it's actually better. Thank you. Then tomorrow we meet. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Have a nice day.
Thank you.